his jobs. And she's like, he could never have lived with himself looking at his employees thinking that they needed to get food stamps. Thinking that they needed, to take out all this debt to be able to survive. Like, people in the 60s working at Walt Disney World had a pension. You know what I mean? They had a house. They had a family. They knew they could retire. They knew they could do all these things. And that just doesn't...
Unless they were Jewish, because that was...
Well, no, she
Disney,
seriously, she says like 10 times in this interview, like, my family wasn't perfect. We did a lot of fucked up things. Black people couldn't work at the company. Women couldn't work at the company. Jewish people couldn't work at the company. She's not trying to cover that up. But the point is about if you have a job, you should be paid enough money so that you can survive. That's her whole point. And she's actually like hugely against Disney now and like fights against it to some degree. So she deserves. I think her name was like Willow Disney. No, I'm just kidding. Winnie Disney. No, it's something Disney. Maybe Sarah Disney. I don't know.
It's weird when you think about big, like gigantic corporations and all that have someone's last name. The fact that people actually still have that last name. Like, for instance, Dumpster is I think I brought this up on the show had heard
that, I think, even before you brought, or maybe I'd only heard it. I'd always just thought that was like a like folklore. You know what I mean? Like that was the actual last name. Oh, man. Speaking of words and names and things like that, do you have any words? This is actually one of my topics. We're only an hour in. We're only an hour in, and we're going to get to a topic here. Do you have any words that, even though you understand the meaning of them, the way that they come across makes you think that they mean something else? So, like, I'll give you I only have one example here, but the word laud, I can never wrap my mind around because it sounds so negative. So they'll say, this person lauded another person, and I always think it means that they did something to that person, but it means that they were, like, speaking up for them, like, lauded, like, so the reason, I saw this word this morning, it was like, it was something about, Matt LaFleur lauding, Aaron Rodgers about something. And I'm like, oh God, the Packers did it now. Rodgers is fucking gone. He's being lauded. And then I had to remind myself, oh no, laud means praise. Yeah, that's right. Laud means praise, but it just doesn't sound like it means praise. It sounds like a bad thing.
Yeah, it kind of does. Like, before you explained it, I kind of admittedly forgot even what that meant. I can't say I have really an example of anything like that to me that I can think of off the top of my head. Now I'm just distracted thinking about fucking Aaron Rodgers possibly leaving, which is
well. I did bring that into the conversation because that's really what I want to talk about. If you don't have anything, we can go right to it.
Yeah, man. Fucking like. I know, like, you and I were talking a bit earlier. Man, these motherfuckers outside. That's going to be quite the heavy hitter emotionally, as far as, like, I'm not the sports fan that you are all encompassingly, but definitely Packers. Like, if Aaron Rodgers leaves, I'm going to be quite sad.
Yeah, I mean, I cried when Brett Favre retired. I ain't gonna lie. I was at a fucking bar. I was old enough to be at a bar, and I was fucking having tears. I was trying to hide the tears coming down from my eyes when fucking Brett Favre retired. I'm not even kidding. I was like sitting there like, oh my God, he's giving his speech, like, but it was the retirement before he said he was then going to come back, and then we traded him to the Jets, but it was the one where it felt real after the 2007 NFC Championship game against the Giants that he fucking blew at the end, like he did all the time. You know, with Brett Favre, he's a character, good riddance. I'm not going to feel that emotional about Rodgers. And this is what I was telling you beforehand. It's like, I've now grown up and watched this team waste two of the best quarterbacks ever to fucking exist. You know, ever to play the game. And the shit that's been done to Aaron Rodgers the last, I'm such a fan of his. I hate to say this, and maybe it's just because I'm not, around the tribalism of Green Bay Packer fandom that exists in Wisconsin. Now that I'm removed from it, I can be a little bit more, open. But I even said this at the end of last year, trade him already. Let the dude fucking win another couple Super Bowls somewhere that actually, has the ability, that we don't kick a field goal when he could have won the fucking game in the NFC Championship, that we don't draft a fucking quarterback when you got fucking, two great receivers right there in front of you that you could have been taking, you know? Man, the Packers, they're losing me. They're fucking losing me with this shit, because Aaron Rodgers, and this, you know what? This comes from a person who viewed himself as a singular talent amongst a bunch of buffoons in the band that I played in. I would have loved to have been traded to a much better band when I was the one carrying everybody else to fucking success. You know what I mean? And not that I carried anybody's success. Nobody had success, and now I live in the woods in Alaska. So, we see how that all worked out. But but I feel for Aaron Rodgers in my ego. My ego feels the fuck for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I can hear that, and yeah, it's it's just a shame that it seems like it feels intentional that they're just disrespecting the fuck out of him. I know whatever, he's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the entire league, so whatever, but all the same, yeah, it's what are you doing? Why won't you give him what he needs to because you know that he can do it. You know that he can bring the Packers to the Super Bowl if they just give him the fucking team around him to do it, and they just won't do it.
Yeah, just and it's not okay. So for the Brewers or any other Wisconsin team, you can say it's the market, it's the money, yada yada yada. Football doesn't work that way. Everybody every year is spending the same amount of money. You know what I mean? Fucking Tom Brady when he was in New England, and Bill Belichick and whoever their GM was spending the same amount of money every year that every other team was. It's not like the Yankees where oh, you got a good player? Well, we're just going to offer him $50 million more a year than you can pay him, and that's the end of the story. This is football. It's all equal. And they have, I hate to say it because, for people in Wisconsin, it's a bit of blasphemy, but the Packers have really, really done wrong by Aaron Rodgers, and for his own sake and for his own greatness, I honestly, I shouldn't say I hope he ends up on another team, but I wouldn't have a problem with it, and I'd watch him. Whatever team he goes to, I'd watch every goddamn week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go. I wouldn't go so far as to say that I wouldn't have a problem with it. More or less, just because it would make me sad. Not that I don't understand why he would do that. But I was in the bar on Thursday when the draft was going on. When I was out in Prairie du Chien, and I heard the argument that back in the day, Brett Favre gave up part of his salary so they could get better receivers or better players in different positions. So if Aaron Rodgers just doesn't want to do that, who even cares if he leaves? Well, he doesn't. But that's apples to oranges in my opinion, because he doesn't. Yes, he's highly paid, but he doesn't need to do that. The Packers have the money and have had the money to get the right players to put around him. They're just not fucking doing it.
Well, and again, this goes back to the organization. If they didn't when they gave Rodgers that extension like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever it was now, maybe it was only a year ago. I don't quite remember the timeline. I think it was 2 though.
He has 3 years. He has 3 years left on his four-year extension right now.
So it was last year that he got that extension. Then it would have been all right.
Yeah.
So if you're doing that math, and I get it that no team could have planned for COVID, and what happened with COVID is it gave teams less money because of the revenue sharing. So like every year the cap generally goes up because the teams revenue share, and then they get a piece of each other's money, and then the cap goes up. But since there was no revenue last year from like fan bases, the cap didn't go up as much as they expected it to. So there's like a whole bunch of really good teams that are losing like key players because they signed them to contracts that they no longer could pay out like during COVID times, right? Like because the numbers changed. And you can like say that acceptably enough, but what I'd argue is why doesn't the NFL then step up and say, well, we're going to increase the cap this year. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to be the ones to put the money so that your contracts that now, like, seem out of, norm, like they all line up. We're going to, like, subsidize you, like, essentially. It had been so easy for them to do. So I guess I understand that the numbers are changing. And here's another interesting thing, though, on the Aaron Rodgers front is, I want to say just about a month ago, or maybe even like 2-3 weeks ago, I started seeing how the Packers were asking Aaron Rodgers to restructure his deal because of all these like number things that are changing because of COVID. And then you didn't hear much news, and now all of a sudden, like, he wants out of Green Bay. You know, so like, yeah, it's hard to say that might not be related a little bit. You know, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but that does kind of follow. But
on the other side of that, he's up to give up as much as $30 million if he fucking sits out and doesn't play this year for the Packers. And he not give up like in future pay, meaning he would have to give back the Packers $30 million.
Oh,
he would literally have to take $30 million out of his account and give it back to him.
Oh shit! Okay, yeah. I thought you meant he would just like miss out on the $30 million.
No. There's I don't remember the workings of it, but it was something I read yesterday morning that he would literally, because of like a signing bonus, or they might be able to get $6 million back because of a signing bonus, and then there's another $25 million that he's already been paid that he would have to give back.
If he just sat out, you mean like not if he left?
Well, okay. Yeah, or if he retired, not if he retired, he would have to give back $25 million.
He's not retiring. You know he's not. I mean, like he's what 36? I want to say 36,
37 now.
Yeah, dude. He's such an animal as far as like just being a competitor, and like his whole life is football, and he's still. Granted, he's at the end of his prime, but he's still like got some good years left. There's no way
MVP worthy season last year. Yeah. Oh hell yeah, man. He was amazing last year. This is the leverage that he's trying to play. He's trying to say, if you trade me and I'm fucking Aaron Rodgers, and you thought last year when you drafted Jordan Love you had your successor, how about you trade me and you get, a couple first-round picks, you get a wide receiver, like you could get a fucking boatload for Aaron Rodgers. So what he's doing is he's playing chicken with the Packers, saying, I can just retire and you get nothing, and I'm done and you move on, or you fucking trade me and you at least get some pieces to go with Jordan Love, who you already thought was my successor. That's the game he's trying to play right now. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And like, as far as Jordan Love goes, I have no idea. Like, has he even played? Even like, I would assume maybe like second or third string at times, maybe.
He was third string